I always say that if you feel that you're an artist, just do it.
Thank you so much for hopping onto this podcast. I'm a fan of your photography. I love the masculinity series. You have a really good eye. Love the whole your the look and the style of your photography is beautiful. And this whole podcast is really just about inspiring other creative people and artists to pursue their creative passions. And so, I love just interviewing other artists and other creatives. So I'd love to actually start off with a question of what would you say is a moment in your life you were the most proud of?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think there were two moments that for me were really important. The one was last year when Gucci called me to shoot the core collection. That was amazing because in the first meeting, there were some of my picture printed from Instagram, and they say, "We love your work. We want exactly this. So we are here for you. Just do what you want, and just think that this is your work, your personal work, and do it for us." So that was amazing because they say that they really like what I do. So that was really a good one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And the other one was some years ago, I shoot a project about Italian actor and actresses. It was a personal project. They were all shoot in hotel rooms. I started to ask to some of them that I knew. And after few days, they all say yes to me. And they also call others to participate to the project. So that was really amazing because nobody saw the project till the end. So they just saw my portfolio and they said, okay, we like it. We are here for you. That was really amazing because there was no fee for anyone. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was a project about 107 actor and actors all shooting in their rooms. Yeah.
So how were you able to build your portfolio so you can get to that point? Because I think a lot of photographers would love to get to that point.
I don't know. Just what I always try to do is this is my photography. I always use flash, as you can see. I don't know how to say in English, but if they ask me something different, I say no. I say, this is me. If you want me, this is. If you want something different, it's full of really great photographers. So you can call any other of them. So that's probably what give me the strength to build such a portfolio. So there are all images that I wanted to do, no compromise, and let's say no commercial stuff. So that's the story.
Yeah, no, I think that's the goal of every artist is to be able to have the freedom to create art the way you want to and to shoot the way you want to without anyone telling you different. And I think that it's awesome that you were able to get a brand to sponsor you, pay you to be you.
Yeah.
And so
I would be lucky about that. So
yeah, for my question too is that when you are working with a brand, how are you able to balance, creating something for yourself? And I know that they said you could do anything you want, but I'm sure there were some times where you asked yourself, I wonder what they want. How do you balance between creating for yourself and then creating for, let's say, your fans or for your friend or your the brand you're working with?
Yeah. I think that because it happened in my life, all the times that I listen more to the brand instead of me, the picture were weak. So in the last year, I tried to think about the brand and I said, okay, how would I take this picture? I tried to do it. I tried to listen to the client and show them the difference between mine and their needs. So we try to have a balance between them. But most of the time they say, okay, we call you on probably what you shoot in the first picture that was your idea works better instead of the other. So
That's great.
yeah, that's what I try to do. Always try to focus on, if they call me, there is a reason. So if I forget about this, if I forget about me, probably they're not happy about that.
No, it's true. I mean, the
Yeah.
reason why they called you is because of your voice, your authenticity, your style, and your look and your vision. And brands have to respect that. And I love how you're very authentically you. And I was going to ask you, how did you get into photography in the first place? What was the first memorable experience of you getting into photography?
That's what I wanted to do since I was a child. I was about 5 years old when my grandfather gave me a camera. And
Oh,
I said,
wow.
yeah, and I said, wow, I like that. So I study languages on the high school. Then I study photography for 4 years. Then I started to work when I was there. So that's what I wanted to do. So that's it.
So when you were young, who or what inspired you throughout the years as a photographer? Any other artists, filmmakers? It sounds like like to work with actors, so maybe you're into film as well.
Yeah, but for sure, Stephen Shore for me was very
Mm.
important, and William Eggleston. Then after them, I really love Jürgen Teller. I think he got the chance to have a vision that when he started, it was very, let's say, new. But even if it was, after Shore, it was the right way to go on in portrait photography.
Mm.
And about filmmaker, I always loved David Lynch, even
Hmm.
so far with my vision of photography. I think he inspired me really a lot. Probably it's something relating to freedom, because
Mm.
it was so free when he shot his movie. So probably some of them have, let's say, nonsense if you just look at them.
Hmm.
I think that his way is really, the freedom completely. So probably that inspired me a lot.
I love hearing that because David Lynch is one of my favorite directors too. Of
Okay.
course, there's Mulholland Drive or whatnot,
Yeah.
and a lot of his other movies that came out. It's even Inland Empire.
Yeah.
That was very strange. But I was watching his master class online, and he is a true artist, and he was trained at AFI here in Los Angeles, and just makes films. And I think that, like you said it, when you said freedom, that you really hit the nail on the head. That I think an artist deserves and loves freedom because that's where the true art comes from. The idea to be free to express, to be vulnerable, to feel safe.
Yeah.
And so for you, how do you get into that state, that flow state when you want to get creative?
Well, that's an hard question. I don't know. I try to not to think too much about
Mhm.
what I'm doing. Let's say I don't want to think too much because I don't want to build it too much because it's too far from my photography.
Mhm.
But if I shoot a person or an actor or any character, when I'm shooting them, I try to think about a story.
Mhm.
It means if we are in a room, I try to imagine what this little movie could be. So especially with actor and actresses, I try to tell them, okay, let's play a role. So maybe it's easier for you and just make a little movie and you can do whatever you want and I follow you. You don't have to
Mhm.
follow me. Um, that's probably my creative process. So not thinking too much at the beginning,
Mhm.
think a little bit about the story and then let it go while I'm shooting.
Oh, that's great. It reminds me of film directing, and as well as when I'm directing with actors and subjects as well. I like to have the freestyle moment.
Okay.
There's the idea of the script and the storyboard. Yes, for short films, it works in the beginning, and I feel that when you're on set working with an actor or working with somebody or a model, things change because maybe the setting is different, the mood is different, the energy is different. So it's about working with the present moment rather than trying to force
Mhm.
an outcome. And so I think it's awesome that you also direct your actors like a director, because as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
when we look at, photography and filmmakers are very much alike in my mind, especially now that filmmakers have been
Yeah.
forced to hold a camera and shoot, so that we can make movies. And so, uh, I was gonna say, when you were working with actors, how did you find your actors? Was it were you going through a list of people that you were fans of, or was it just through friends?
No, what I wanted to tell with this project is about, it was a story about Italian cinema.
Hmm.
So I didn't, what I decided, I don't want any judges. So if an
Hmm.
actor or an actor is famous because of his movie, even if I don't like him or her, that was right. No, he had all the, I don't know how to say in English, but it was right that he was in the project. So he didn't want to tell that. But I started with some friends who are actors and actresses. Then I tried to think with the stylists who work with me, who were the right person to tell the story. I
Hmm.
contacted the agent. Let's say my agent who works with me, it's a sort of my assistant and my second eye, contact all the agent, and we try to build it up in this way. And in some cases, some of the actors suggest me some new names or maybe some young ones that I didn't know yet. And I say, no, just shoot him because in the next few years it will be great.
Hmm.
So that's the process of this project.
Nice. So, do you have a, script or an outline of a story beforehand? And how do you come up with a story? Do
Um,
you? Go ahead.
me and the stylist and Simona, who is my agent, when we saw an actor, we decide, okay, let's take a picture of him or her.
Hmm.
I try to imagine what character it could be. So after this, we decide the location. So Simona was taking care of looking for the location, and Ameliana, the stylist, built up the story with the clothes. So that this was a sort of, a first instinct, looking at a face, say, okay, I would like to see him on this way or her on this way. In some cases, it was a sort of an experiment because some of them have never done this sort of character. So it was,
Hmm.
say, let's play this game if you want to do it. And in most of the time, they say, okay, yes, I want to do it. So that
That's
was
great.
also funny for them. I always say that my job, it's something that doesn't save lives. So we have to make it like a game. So it's
Love it.
important, but don't be too serious in your because we are not saving life, especially in this period where doctors and are doing such a great job. So it's important to be happy because we do something that is great and it's not so dangerous, let's say.
That's so true. I think it's because with a lot of artists and creatives now who want to or need to make money to survive, sometimes they put too much pressure on themselves, on their art, and it takes away from their authenticity and their passion and their joy. And we're not saving lives. Honestly,
Yeah.
to me, I feel the same way that art and filmmaking and photography and creativity, it's meant to be fun. We need to make this fun. And I think it's the joy, the happiness, the fun, the safety in the environment that creates original ideas and also makes innovation allowed to happen, because I think that when people feel safe and feel fun and feel confident, amazing things come out of it.
Yeah,
And
I totally agree.
yeah, and it's great to hear from you, because I see it with a lot of artists now who are going to live stream. Everyone's live streaming now because everyone's in self
Yeah.
quarantine. The coronavirus has forced a lot of artists indoors. So a lot of artists indoors, they don't know what to do other than how can I create, how can I make this moment fun and creative? And so the live streaming, the performance, is coming back
Yeah,
because you have to. There's no other way. So, well, there are other ways, but I think that for some people, when you're at home showing people your work, it's either posting it or it's going live. And so, making it fun is the best way to create original ideas and innovative ideas. So, I totally agree with you.
great.
And I just want to say, by the way, that I'm a huge Fellini fan. When I went to film school,
Okay.
I watched a lot of his films, and has inspired me in my filmmaking because he played a lot. He
Yeah.
had used a lot of humor, a lot of surrealism, a lot of just set pieces and characters and exaggerations, and that's what I loved about Fellini was the idea of play. And so when you are in these creative situations, but you feel like you are stuck or you find a block in your creativeness, how do you get out of it? Like, how do you get out of a creative rut?
Uh, Probably I try not to think about this for a while, and I said, okay, just that's totally wrong. It doesn't work for
Hmm.
any reason. So it happens. So it's not something so strange. But I try to say, okay, it doesn't work. The first thing I tried after, resetting my mind, I try to think, okay, what doesn't work? Probably
Hmm.
most of the time it's my fault. It's not the other's fault, but it's because I wanted. I think, it's related to what we said before. It because I was not so free, because I
Hmm.
tried to do something that was too far from my freedom. So I said, okay, erase everything, reset. What would I do if nobody would tell me what to do, or I don't? Or what would I do if I don't have, this clothes to photograph, or this or this or this? What would I do? And I said, okay, let's start again.
I like that.
Yeah, that was something that doesn't work, and it was my fault, and it was because I wasn't free. Yeah, that's
Yeah. I really appreciate, to tell you the truth, European and artists and artistry because the idea of freedom. I've interviewed a friend of mine who is French and he's a filmmaker as well, and we went through this whole idea of difference between American filmmakers and French filmmakers, and it's the idea of freedom, the idea of being okay with being an artist and actually just being weird, to
yeah,
be
for
abnormal,
sure.
to just to explore the boundaries and break boundaries and try new things rather than the American ways. A lot of American filmmakers, they want to stick within this formula or find ways to make their idea marketable so that when they put it out, there's an audience, there's fans, there's views, there's likes, there's reshares, I get followers. And so sometimes a lot of filmmakers and artists and photographers, they are, I would say, trapped by the likes. They're trapped
Okay,
by,
okay.
by the followers, and they don't feel free anymore. And so I love talking to you about the importance of freedom, the importance of feeling safe. And so when you are creating photography, do you like being in a studio situation? Do you like being outside?
I what I prefer the most is allocation. The
Hmm.
studio, it's in some cases it works, but especially if I have to shoot a person, it's very
Hmm.
hard if it's not, a model or, a supermodel, let's say, because you are in an empty space. And for
Hmm.
my photography, that it's so immediate, it's quite hard, to have this space so empty and to do something that is reality. So what I prefer the most is indoor, in a location. So it could be anywhere,
Hmm.
but I prefer indoor, and the main reason is because of my light. Of course, I use flash, so indoor it's perfect. The light, you see better the light, and of course the night outdoor, it's amazing for the flash photography. So
Hmm.
these are the two. Going back to what you said about Fellini was born quite near to my hometown.
Oh, really?
Um, I think one of the main reasons, because Fellini was so weird and so funny and so free, is because of the place where he was born, because it's
Oh
called
yeah.
Romagna, and Rimini, where he was born. It's really a weird place. It's the land of freedom, where everything could be possible. So I
Mhm.
think this is very important to relate it probably to Fellini and also to me, because I was born about 50 kilometers from there. So I
You
think
know,
it's something, yeah, you have in your DNA where you,
yeah, it reminds me a little bit of how when I just thinking about, of course, 8 and a Half and just La Strada and
yeah,
just the films that he created. There's just so many playful moments in there. And The White Sheik. I mean, I always remember these characters that were just like cartoon characters.
yeah.
And I think the ability to be weird, the ability to be not normal, to experiment, I think that allows for someone's voice and authenticity to come through. And with you and your flash photography, how did that come about? How did you find your voice, or how did you find your uniqueness in your flash photography?
Oh,
Was it a moment in life, or was it an evolution of photography?
I think it was more an evolution because,
Mhm.
I loved Shaw, I loved Agassiz, I loved Teller. So I try to I say, okay, if I use the flash, I can fix the moment.
Mhm.
Instead of, not using a flash, but using the sunlight, I think there is a little bit of difference between them. The sunlight stick a moment, but it's romantic. If you use
Mm.
the flash, you're more shape and, not shape, more, how do you say, with the razor, so you can
Oh,
really,
it's cut. It's
yeah,
precise.
yeah,
Yes.
precise. So that's what I wanted to say. Okay, this is my vision, and I want to be precise, and I
Mhm.
want you to remember. What I always try to not to use in my photography is romanticism. So I don't want to be romantic, because I think that I don't know why, but probably because I'm shy, or all the things that you want. But I think that flash photography is not romantic, and it is
Mhm.
probably what I am.
So, how did you feel when you were getting into flash photography? Were you experimenting with different flashes? Have you found your perfect flash setup right now?
I found my perfect flash now, and I
Okay.
used to shoot in film years ago,
Hmm.
and I used contacts, and the contacts flash were amazing. But
Hmm.
when the digital came out, I had some problem because it was not so cutting the flash in the digital.
Ah,
So, but now I have found my flash, my camera, and all that. But I'm really happy about that, because about post production, I do it by myself, because
okay.
as I used to shoot in film, I don't
Hmm.
want post production to be, massive. I just do the same thing that I used to do with film. So, saturation, that's all. So,
Do you enjoy the digital process, or do you like the analog film process better?
no, I think now I'm happy with both of them.
Hmm.
I think that also digital can have a sort of a lot of dark side, but if you use it as you use the analog, it's even more respectful for the environment. Let's say all the things that you use to develop the film were
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
so great for the environment and whatever. So I think
That's
that,
so true.
yeah, that a lot of people think that digital, it's something modern, something, or, let's say now, I don't know how it is in US, but especially in Italy or in Europe, if you shoot in analog, you're great, you're cool. But I say,
Hmm.
you're not cool. You're doing something that is not so great for all the rest. So just go on and use the digital and play it as it was analog.
That's right. I agree with you because I think that people like to hold on to the past, to tradition, to quote unquote the pure art. though art also involves, if we were sticking with pure art, we'd be painting on walls and
Yeah.
caves.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to appreciate technology for the evolution of art and self-expression, and we have to appreciate that. And I think even with photography, the phones,
Yeah. Yeah. Of
the
course.
idea of the phones and driving around LA and seeing the iPhone 11 billboards. This is shot on an iPhone 11, which I don't think, maybe a lot of post processing,
Yeah.
but yes.
I think so too.
But it was shot on the iPhone 11. And it's a very interesting time because the power of creativity is given to a lot of average people or non-artists. And
Mhm.
so a lot of non-artists are either finding a new passion or reigniting an old passion inside of them that they had in the past that now gives, because of technology, they have the tool to
Yeah.
actually create like before. And that's why I created this podcast, is that I have a lot of friends who used to be artists and they have jobs now, careers and families. And they say to me, Mitchell, I love what you're doing. I wish I could be an artist again or a creative. And I tell them, you can just take your phone and go
Yeah.
film your kid or go out in nature. And so, for you, do you feel that are you surrounded by a lot of creative friends as well, or do you like to, uh, you know, I guess keep your creativity and your social life separate? How do you like to keep your, I would say, personal life and your creative life?
No, I think they are absolutely the same.
Mhm.
That's what I am. So I don't want to. But also, a lot of a lot of my friends, of course, because of my work, are artists or just
Mhm.
have to work with that. But I always say that if you feel that you're an artist, just do it. Very that, that's probably the same things about freedom, but I think just do whatever we want to do. There is no limit, no boundaries.
Mhm.
Also with the device that you use to do art. It's just a device. If you want to shoot a movie with a phone and it works, okay, that's perfect.
That's right. No, it's so right because I think that the way to tell stories these days is you got so many tools, and I think people are interested in the message and the story, the characters, and if they can relate. If I can relate with somebody in a story and it's shot on an iPhone, but I can't relate with a character in a story and it's filmed on an ARRI or a Red or a whatever it is, then I will relate and enjoy the story that I related to or that I respond to. And so, for you, do you do anything outside of photography that inspires you? Do you what now you can't go outside in Italy.
Yeah.
I know you can't. Before the lockdown, what
Before
would you do outside?
I used to travel a lot by train because my
Hmm.
hometown, I live in Milan, but now I'm in my hometown because before they closed for the quarantine, I was at my parents. So I just, I stayed here. Um, but let's say every week or at least every 15 days, I go back from Milan to my hometown and I travel by train. So just watching at people on reality, inspires me a lot.
Hmm.
And also watching movies and walk around. And years ago it was swimming, but in the few months I couldn't go to the swimming pool. But also that this probably it's a balance between peace, so let's say swimming and water and whatever, and watching people around and just observe them.
I
That's what
like that.
for me.
You know what that's what I've enjoyed every time I go to Europe is the idea of just sitting at a cafe with an espresso and just watching people and having
Yeah,
a good conversation.
that's amazing.
That's
That's really
that's the
amazing.
day.
Yeah.
And I think real life produces stories that sometimes an artist or a creative can't come up with.
Yeah.
Sometimes just looking at a couple arguing or a couple having a great time or a family and their kids or friends having, playing around and noticing different nuances between interactions between people, it inspires creativity and ideas. So I think I'm gonna actually, after the quarantine is done, I think I'm going to take you up on that. I'm gonna go to a cafe in Venice, grab an espresso, watch some people by the beach. I think that's a good way to come up with some
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah, probably. Yeah.
So, Simone, I know you're busy out there. I know it's late. So, before we go, I would love to ask you, do you have any other advice for photographers or artists in general out there who are, just in their careers, and advice for them for their careers or photography, and how to be more creative?
But probably, I repeat always the same thing, but it's important to be free of what you think. And I think that it's important not to follow too much what is cool in this time. The fashion or whatever is cool, it's a moment. It's not forever. So what, always, let's say, make me laugh, but it's not right. But when I see that, if in this period, let's say that photography uses red light, all the photography uses red light, but after a month, it doesn't work anymore. So it's important to have your own way, own vision. It's the most important thing for a photographer. All the great photographers in history, if you just see a picture, you say, okay, that's Helmut Newton, that's Stephen Shore. You don't have to see all the picture. And I think it's the most important thing for a young photographer. Don't forget your vision. Keep on doing. If it's all the others say that it's wrong, it's not, because it's your. So keep on this and be recognizable. When you see a picture, it's important that you already know who the photographer is, even if you don't know the name.
That's right. No, I definitely agree with you. So thank you for that.
Thanks
And
to you.
Simone, thank you so much for, getting on the podcast today and just blessing us with your knowledge and experience and just a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. And can you let us know where to find you and how we can support you?
Okay, thanks to you, first of all. Thanks for contacting me. It was really great. You can follow me on Instagram. That's Simon171. That's where I publish, my freedom. That's my Instagram account is my freedom. I publish what I like. Doesn't care about likes, followers, or whatever. That's
amazing. Well, Simone, ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you so much. And good luck with everything. And I hope to see more of your work on your Instagram.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Haven podcast. And if you dig it and like what you heard today, please give us a nice review and rating and share it with one of your friends that you think needs some creative inspiration. You can always find more content and resources at thecreativehaven.com and hit me up on Instagram at Mitchel Dumlao. And if you want to reach out, collab, or ask any questions, you have my permission to slide into my DMs. So keep positive, continue to learn and hone your craft, and create all day. Salamat.